Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show podcast, coming from right here in our quaint little studio. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. I'm joined in studio today by Ray Ora.
Good morning.
Jonathan Voico.
Happy Thursday, everybody.
But most importantly, you guys are here. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show a part of your day. And here's how our show's going to go. We're going to start off by talking about a few topics we got lined up for you guys. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your live comments and questions. If you have a thought, theory, opinion, or question you'd like us to address, and remember, we reserve the right not to answer them as long as we deem it appropriate to be addressed on the show, go ahead and fire it on into our tip link at www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip. And here's the good news. If you happen to be watching this show a little bit later on YouTube when we're not live, or if you're listening to our podcast feed on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice, look at that there. Go and subscribe to it today. No worries. The tip link is good 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. So if you're listening to the show later when we're not live, you can still send in a question. We'll just get around to answering it on the next episode. All right, guys. With that down, we got a number of things we got to talk about here today. So we're going to get started with this. Now, of course, Moana 2 opens up next week. Moana, which is one of those films that became a much bigger hit after it finished its theatrical run, because it did well in theaters, but then in 2023, like 6 years after it was in theaters, it became the #1 streaming movie in the world. Like, the #1 streaming movie, by a lot, was not any of the new movies, it was Moana. So, of course, they do Moana 2, but, as we talked about the other day, they are now in production of the live-action Moana film with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson coming back to play the role of Maui, which, of course, he voiced in the animated film. Well, now the first pictures have come out of Dwayne Johnson on set. And I got to say, well, he looks a little different. He looks really good. The Daily Mail out of the UK posted these pictures of Dwayne Johnson on set. And I got to say, while the belly isn't there, that's fine. He looks really good.
He definitely worked out for this role.
Yeah, like normally he just sits around on the couch and eats cheeseburgers.
You could tell with this one, he took it serious.
Yeah, he really decided, you know, I think I'm going to get into the gym for this one.
Yep.
And he looks, I mean, there's the comparison there. Then they got a picture of him with the hook, too. Let me see if I can find it. Well, there's another one of him just walking down the beach, you know, fresh off peeing in several bottles, I'm sure.
I think that's just an oar there. I don't think that's...
That might be part of it. Then we get to see a little hint of the girl playing Moana there, but we don't really get a good look at her. There he is with the hook.
Go.
Again, we talked about the hook the other day. The hook looked awesome. The hook looks really, really good. And yeah, guy, I mean, I just got to say, completely accurate to the animated version? No, because they didn't put the big belly on him.
Do you think he'll be doing his own singing in this movie?
Well, he did in the animated one.
Oh, he did,
Right,
right?
yeah, that's him.
Hey, today, you're
Be interesting to
welcome.
see. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, he does all of his own singing in it, which is why it's not, you know, Tony Award-winning singing.
Sure.
But it had character and it had
Yeah.
life. He did, listen, with all the crap that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson has gotten lately, much of it his own fault. I mean, when you go back, he was great as Maui
Yeah, he was.
in that, right? Even his singing voice had charm and personality, and I love the fact that he's going to be reprising the role in the live action thing. And again, I think it looks great. I really do. Now, what I'm really curious about, see how they're going to animate the tattoo. Because remember the tattoo, he argues with his tattoo and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
because those aren't his tattoos. So
No, those are-
obviously
well,
that's like a...
I mean, I think some of his tattoos shine through here, but yeah, this is not
They
all
might
his
work
tattoos.
with some existing ones, but obviously not all of that. You know, that's
Yeah,
like
I
a
mean-
bodysuit.
I mean, like you said yesterday, if they were going to do a live action Moana, there's no other person that could have played this role other than The Rock.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, rarely will I ever say, oh, you're doing a movie? Well, you gotta get this person. Like, I'm usually 100% against that because, you know, there are other actors, but I mean, who else are you going to get to play Maui other than The Rock?
Yeah.
I mean, there's really I can't think of anybody else you could possibly go out and do.
Justin Long.
Justin Long, Walter Hauser.
Yeah, Walter Hauser.
Paul Walter
Oh,
Hauser.
you know what? Yeah, I like that.
He works out too.
Paul Walter Hauser
Sort of.
would be pretty good.
Sorry.
Maybe Chris Pratt
There you go.
could fit in there all right.
Yeah,
Don't know. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not.
The
But
Samoan Chris Pratt.
yeah, look, and I'm still,
He might be out
you,
there.
you know, I've been to, listen, do I think it's a good idea to try a live action Moana? I do, actually. I think it's worth rolling the dice on with the popularity of the original and stuff like that. I think this is a project worth rolling the dice on. Whether it'll be good or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I was mentioning this on the show the other day. I actually have gotten more excited about it having seen that trailer to How to Train Your Dragon. Like watching that trailer and recapturing all that emotion I had from the original How to Train Your Dragon. But clearly this is a different experience. Like with it being live action, it's a different experience.
And yeah, and the cool things they could do with the water as well. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
like in Moana.
And the
yeah, with the
volcano.
ocean and everything.
Yeah, I mean, it's Disney has done well doing live action remakes, wouldn't you say? For the most part,
Hit and miss.
hit and miss, but
Like, for instance, you had Cinderella, which was amazing. I don't care what anybody else anywhere says. Okay. The Aladdin remake was fucking awesome. I loved the Aladdin remake. I didn't think it was quite as good as the original, but I loved the Aladdin remake. At the same time, you know, they had those Maleficent movies, which I honestly didn't. I wanted to like them, but I didn't think they were very good. I didn't dislike the Beauty and the Beast live action remake as much as most people did, but it was still a disappointment to me. So they've got it's hit, like I said, hit and miss.
I had no idea Maleficent was an animated movie. There was an animated
Well,
movie?
no, there
Well, it
wasn't
came
a
from-
for Maleficent.
it
was
came from
kind of
Sleeping
based
Beauty.
on-
Oh, okay.
based on Sleeping
Yeah,
Beauty
Sleeping
and all
Beauty.
that kind of stuff. So anyway, I've got some enthusiasm for this live action thing. So whether it turns out good or not, we'll find out, but I'm hopeful. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think of these first pictures of Dwayne Johnson as Maui in live action? I got to tell you, I think it looks really good. Anyway, whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. Going from movies that I'm kind of looking forward to movies that might be Ray's most anticipated movie of the upcoming year. It feels like 7 years ago we got the first trailer for Elio, a new Pixar film. Well, today we got another one, as Disney Pixar has dropped their newest trailer for Elio. And, you know, here's the thing. I think it looks fine. I am looking forward to it. But this is the second trailer. And it still felt like just a very, very introductory little teaser.
Yeah, it
now,
felt like another teaser.
there might be a good explanation for that, because the first trailer for Elio we're not kidding when we literally said it's almost 2 years ago? A year and a
Yeah.
half? When did that first trailer for Elio drop? At least a year ago. So it has been forever. So maybe they felt like they had to reintroduce another first teaser.
I suppose.
At any
It
rate,
was 2023, June.
June. So it's been over a year.
Yeah.
So look, the key to all Pixar films, to all the good ones, is characters we get emotionally attached to. All the Pixar films that work great are the ones that have characters we get emotionally attached to. The ones that have struggled a little bit are the ones that we don't. Like for me, Cars. I never got emotionally connected to any of the characters in Cars. I know Cars has its fans. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying for me, you know, that's probably the reason why that one didn't work for me so well. I like The Good Dinosaur, but it's not up there on my list, probably because there was never a character in it I got emotionally attached to. And Elio does look like a character I'm going to get emotionally attached to. And I will say that one moment in the trailer when he says, "This is the most beautiful room I've ever seen in my life," and the alien goes, "This is the bathroom." I got to admit, I chuckled out loud when that happened. So overall, not blown away by this trailer,
Yeah.
but you know what? I am forever going to stay out of the doubting Pixar business. Like it's not, doubting Pixar is not a good business to be in. Yes, every once in a while you'll get a Lightyear,
Exactly.
but they're like a 95% hit rating. And so I'm not going to doubt them on this. Listen, you know what? Because you know what I doubt them on? I doubted them on what's the one they just did with the Mexican
Inside Out.
Afterlife?
Oh wait, which one?
The Mexican Afterlife.
Coco.
Oh, Coco.
I doubted them on Coco. I didn't think Coco looked very good.
Oh, I thought visually it looked good.
I mean, yeah, visually
Yeah,
it looked
yeah.
good. And then I came out of the theater. I love Coco. I mean, I love them. I am out. So maybe this won't turn out to be good, but I'm not going to bet against it going into it. Anyway, Ray, you're the one because I don't know anybody who's as excited about this movie as you are. What did you think about the teaser?
The first two thoughts was one of the thoughts every time we've had a teaser was Lightyear. Unfortunately, because it's in the space realm, and it's like I wanted to kind of wanted to separate from that anything that has to do with that or any any
kind of relation.
Yeah, any relation with it or thoughts about that. The trailer was too short. I need to see more. I actually liked the first teaser
A little more
than this one because like how they were questioning him.
I agree. I think the first teaser was better. Yeah,
the console was funny to me. This is a lot brighter, and it seems like it's a much more of a venture than exploration to me. You know what I mean? Like where he's at and stuff. But I'm okay with that. I just need to see more. I'm still excited for it. I can't wait to see this. This is the first Pixar movie I've been excited for since Wall-E. Like where I actually want to go to the theater and watch it.
Yeah.
Right. Now, as far as wanting to see more, this movie is still like 7 months away.
Right.
So what we're in November. So December, January, February, March, April, May, June. 7 months. It's still 7. I would almost argue I don't know why, and I did say this before the show. I don't know why they dropped this trailer now. It's just another small little doesn't really give us anything teaser to a movie that's still 7 months away. So I'm confused as to why they even put this trailer out right now.
When does D23 usually happen?
Well, it's only every couple of years.
Yeah, it's every 2 years.
So
It's not going to be this year.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. Oh, it's
No.
only a couple.
It's only every couple of years. Yeah.
I was thinking about conventions that may pass before this releases, where we get to see more.
Well,
Maybe I don't know.
Comic-Con maybe, but that's gonna be close to where it's dropping.
I want a full length trailer eventually.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But right now
I'm
this is
thinking
fine.
February, March, maybe we'll get
Yeah.
a big full trailer, something like that.
Right before the summer, like movies start to pick up in late April, May. We'll probably get something around there.
Yeah. Anyway, guys, question is for you. Pixar's got a new trailer out for their upcoming film, Elio. What did you guys think about it? I'm looking forward to the movie. I am. It's just like, this is a less substantial trailer than the one they put out a year ago. It's still 7 months until this film comes out. So why are they dropping a trailer for it now? No one's even going to remember this 4 months from now. But anyway, whatever you guys think about it, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. That down. Let's move on to this, shall we? One of the better looking films on its way out is the Bob Dylan biopic, A Complete Unknown, that has the guy who I think is destined to be the greatest actor in the world, Timothée Chalamet. He's not there yet, but I think he's the next Daniel Day-Lewis. I've said that a lot. I still believe it. I think he's only getting better and better and better as each year passes. He's already, I think, a top 5 actor in the business, and he's just getting better every year. Anyway, Timothée Chalamet, of course, had a great last year. Wonka, I thought, was wonderful, and he did great in it. Dune 2, I think, is the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years. That scene in Dune 2 still, where he walks into the Fremen Council and is like, I'm the one who says the way. And like, that whole scene, that's still like one of my favorite scenes in years. I love that scene. Anyway, now he's playing Bob Dylan. And I remember I saw the trailer for it. Thought, well, this looks good. He's doing well. And then somebody said, what do you think about Timothée Chalamet singing? I'm like, well, that wasn't Timothée Chalamet singing. That was Bob Dylan tracks. They're like, no, that was Timothée Chalamet singing. I'm like, no. And I went and looked at it. Was Timothée Chalamet singing. Like, he's doing all the singing in this. I'm like, this is phenomenal. Anyway, the first reactions for Complete Unknown have been coming out, and Variety is reporting that they're extremely good. Some people already saying Timothée Chalamet might be a lock to get one of the nominations for Best Actor in it. Let's just read a couple of things here that Variety wrote about this. Timothée Chalamet slides into Bob Dylan with an effortless yet focused determination, fearless in some hypnotic moments. Variety's senior award editor Clayton Davis wrote, for me, it's Monica Barbaro and Elle Fanning that anchor the story of an elusive, mysterious man that remains in the sphere. James Mangold Helms, which, by the way, everybody forgot that James Mangold is directing this. James Mangold helms with confidence, with gorgeous sets and costumes. Much respect to one of the best to do it. So, and it basically goes on. There's a couple of them that didn't think that the film was a little bit too messy and all that kind of stuff. It wasn't universal praise across the board in the first reactions, but a lot of them are saying that, yeah, this is Timothée Chalamet's movie, that Elle Fanning is remarkable in it, that Barbaro is absolutely remarkable in it, that the music is great in it, and all that kind of stuff. Now, look, I'm going to admit, I'm not the world's biggest fan of musical biopics. There have definitely been musical biopics that I've definitely appreciated. I never grew up a Bob Dylan fan.
Yeah.
Not that don't get me wrong, I'm not saying I dislike Bob Dylan. I'm just saying Bob Dylan's music was not some of the music my parents played when I was growing up. It wasn't really my thing. So I'd be lying if I said I was super into seeing this movie because of Bob Dylan. I'd be lying if I said I'm super into this movie because I love musical biopics. But I am interested in this movie because it's Timothée Chalamet. Like I said, I think he's destined to be one of the greatest ever. And hearing that it's this good so far, I'm down. I know, Jonathan, you got any interest to see this movie?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, Jonathan.
100%. I'm seeing this probably Christmas weekend when it comes out.
So you've been really liking the trailers.
I've been liking the trailers. I'm a big fan of Bob Dylan and his music. I'm absolutely looking forward to this film. His performance looks spot on. James Mangold's directing looks great. No, I'm very excited for this. And I get what you're saying about biopics. I love like stuff like Walk the Line or whatever. I love
Walk the Line was good.
And they can be really like touching films, but at the same time, it's like, well, you kind of know the story because it's almost every tormented musician's story in a sense. But that doesn't mean the journey can't be amazing and you can't learn lessons along the way and what they're trying to convey. So I'm just looking forward to seeing this portrayal.
Do you listen? You listen to Bob Dylan, right?
Oh yeah.
Or you're familiar with him?
Uh-huh.
What's the part about his story that you think this movie will touch on the most? Like, was there any controversy with this performer or anything like that?
Oh, well, yeah.
'Cause I'm so unfamiliar with him.
He came out of like the whole counterculture of the 60s in folk music and speaking truth to power. And then he really got popular during the rise of the Vietnam War and speaking out against that and speaking out against the establishment and a lot of things that we're dealing with all over again. So
was he persecuted for that?
Oh, yeah. And then he was persecuted by his own fans because then he went electric. So he was known as just like, strictly folk music, acoustic guitar, and then he went rock and like he's a sellout, he's this, but he was visionary.
Right.
Okay. So yeah.
Interesting.
All right, guys. Question is for you. What do you think? Are you looking forward to a complete unknown? I'm actually. And by the way, Edward Norton looks really good in it as well. So I'm excited about that. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, we still got to talk about Daniel Craig is in final negotiations to join James Gunn's new DCU as Sergeant Rock. We're going to talk about that in a minute. And also, I went to go see Wicked last night, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's way better than you're going to want to admit it is. Anyway, we're going to talk about that and a few things more. But before we do, we're going to take a quick second to thank a couple of sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Public Rec and Miracle Made. Hey guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Public Rec. Guys, we all know finding pants that both look good and feel good has always been a major challenge. Public Rec's Daymaker pants are here to make sure you stay comfy and classy this season. I absolutely love that they feel like your favorite sweats, but they look like tailored pants. They're super stretchy with an elastic waistband so you can wear them anywhere. The first thing I noticed when I put these pants on was they go on and feel just like my most comfortable pair of sweats, yet they look so good. Another great thing about these pants is, when you order comfortable pants, you only get to pick from like small, medium, or large and extra large sizes, but with Daymaker pants, you get to select the exact width and length that you need. Public Rec not only has the most comfortable pants made, but they have a huge selection of high quality everyday basics, like this beautiful hoodie I was wearing on the show the other day. So stop suffering in regular pants and give the gift of comfort this holiday season. For a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off with the code Campea at publicrec.com. And listen, after you purchase, they'll ask you where you heard about them. Please support the John Campea Show and tell them that we sent you. Say goodbye to pants that put up a fight, because when comfort meets style, you've found Public Rec. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's episode, Miracle Made. Guys, it's hot outside and your nighttime bedroom temperature has a huge impact on your sleep quality. So if you wake up too hot or too cold, I highly recommend you check out Miracle Made's bed sheets. Miracle Made sheets are inspired by NASA and use silver-infused fabrics that are temperature regulating so you can sleep at the perfect temperature all night long. There are just so many things that make these sheets so fantastic. We already mentioned the self-cooling properties for better quality sleep, but they're also self-cleaning. These sheets are infused with silver that prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors. So go to trymiracle.com/Campea. That's trymiracle.com/Campea to try Miracle Made sheets today. And whether you're buying them for yourself or as a gift for a loved one, if you order today, you can save over 40%. And if you use our promo code Campea at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%. Miracle is so confident in their product, it's backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. So if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a full refund. So upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/Campea and use the code Campea to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/Campea to treat yourself. Thank you, Miracle Made, for sponsoring this episode. And thank you to our friends at Public Rec and Miracle Made for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to the next issue here, shall we? Of course, we all know that James Gunn's DCU launches with Superman. I mean, on Max, it launches with the animated Creature Commandos. I'm not going to pretend that I'm terribly excited about that, but I am excited about Superman and the relaunch of the live-action DCU. Well, we've been getting some news over the last number of months about certain things that may be a part of it and all that kind of stuff, but now this one's really interesting. This report in the Hollywood Reporter is saying Daniel Craig is circling DC Studios' Sergeant Rock with director Luca Guadagnino. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right.
Yeah, Guadagnino.
Who he worked with in the upcoming film Queer. Now, this to me is extremely interesting. One, because it's Daniel Craig, right? Love Daniel Craig. Two, Sergeant Rock is a really interesting character for them to do something on. Now, for those of you who might go, why does that name sound familiar? Haven't we heard it talk about before? Yes, because there have been a couple of different iterations, a couple of different times that they have tried over the years to bring a Sergeant Rock film to the screen. At one point, Arnold Schwarzenegger was attached to star as a Sergeant Rock. At another time, Bruce Willis was attached to sign as a Sergeant Rock. So, and who in the earlier comics was simply known as The Rock. Can't really do that today. So,
you're right.
Yeah, this movie's called The Rock without Dwayne Johnson. Well, now they're saying that basically the report is saying this, is that the director, Lucas, is attached to direct, and having just worked with Daniel Craig, he wants Daniel Craig for the role. They went to Daniel Craig, said, would you be interested? And Daniel Craig said yes, that he'd be down. Of course, Daniel Craig's got that new Knives Out movie coming out on top of the movie Queer. I cannot wait to see Knives Out 3. I love those Knives Out films. I think he's great in them. Daniel Craig is my all-time favorite James Bond. I just always thought he was the perfect mixture of the badassness of Sean Connery with the suaveness of Roger Moore, kind of combined into one. So he's always been my favorite James Bond. And to see him come into something like the DCU would be great. Now, the question then becomes, what kind of approach will they take with Sergeant Rock? Because in the comics, like, Sergeant Rock has no superpowers, right? He's just literally a sharp, high-level military guy.
Right.
And connected to certain eras.
Kind of reminds me of like the Howling Commandos from Marvel.
You know what? Yeah, there have been some people that have tried to draw comparisons with Captain America.
Uh-huh.
And there are some similarities with Captain America. There are, but not a lot.
Right.
So I'm not really sure what another kind of comparison would be. Still, I am interested in seeing how they're going to utilize this and do this. Would it be a standoff project? Would it be something that directly ties into the DCU? I'm not really sure, but you know what? I love Daniel Craig. I'm excited about James Gunn's universe. James Gunn made the Polka Dot Man interesting.
I know.
He made Polka Dot Man
I
interesting.
felt so bad for him.
Oh, I did too. If you can make Polka Dot Man interesting, he made Peacemaker entertaining.
He did.
If you can make Polka Dot Man and Peacemaker entertaining, I will give you the benefit of the doubt. And if you're going to attach a guy like Daniel Craig to this, I'll be excited about it.
What's interesting is he already laid out a plan. It's the Gods and Monsters phase, right? This is the first phase.
Yeah.
Why do you think all of a sudden this seems to come out of nowhere for me, at least? Maybe you think Daniel Craig went up to him. Maybe they've been chatting this whole time.
Well, no, Daniel Craig.
Like,
Daniel Craig wasn't Daniel Craig is coming in late on this because the director was attached first. Then, because the directors worked with Daniel Craig, then they talked to Daniel Craig. Remember, when they first you brought up a good point. When they first brought up the schedule for their phase 1, they specifically said this isn't all of the projects in phase 1.
Oh, okay. I didn't.
A lot of people forget that.
I didn't get
that. He didn't say this is our exhaustive list of every project you can expect. He said there are still others they have not mentioned and others they have not named.
I see.
Sergeant Rock, I guess, is going to be one of those. That's my guess.
I mean, I'm just looking it up on IMDb. So, I mean, because I didn't really realize this was a whole project. I thought Sergeant Rock was going to appear in something else, but apparently Luca is directing the film Sergeant Rock. So I didn't, and I didn't realize until today when we were talking about this. So I think that's kind of interesting. I mean, here I'm thinking when we first dropped the news, like when we got the show notes, I was like, oh, well, he's going to appear in something else.
Yep. No,
But
it's the director that he just worked with was attached and then apparently attached and then said, I would like to work with Daniel Craig in this role. And he's saying, so now he's in negotiations to do it. And once it gets to that phase, it doesn't 100% always work out. But once it gets to the point that they're negotiating the contract, 95% of the time, that then means that's who's going to be played there. Not every time, but it looks like Daniel Craig is going to be Sergeant Rock.
Okay, considering the marketing is kick-ass. This like has great marketing, great trailers. Is this going to make a film like this going to make money? Without a no name. I this is the first time I've ever heard of Sergeant Rock.
And I think for a lot of the movie going audience, it's going to be the first time. And you know, I honestly don't know.
And Daniel Craig at the front of it,
especially like a non-superhero movie, right? So you're going to pitch it as just a period piece military movie, but it's in the DCU. Look, obviously if they're doing it, they've got a plan.
Right.
I can't even imagine what that plan is because you raise a great point. Like, is there going to be a huge audience that lines up at the box office to go and see a Sergeant Rock movie?
I'm assuming he's introduced first somewhere. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that would seem to be a good strategy.
And James Gunn obviously feels this is important enough to actually risk this story at least. So there has to be some sort of connection. Unless it's like a Max film or something like that. I don't know.
No, I don't think so.
I don't know that you go and get Daniel Craig and stuff like that to do a Max film on it. So it's
the writer wrote Challengers.
Yes, which Challengers was great. I mean, it's a great screenplay. So you know what? We'll find out. But for now, I'm going to choose to be enthusiastic about this because I love Daniel Craig. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this news? Apparently, Daniel Craig is going to be joining the DCU as Sergeant Rock. Do you like it? Are you like Ray's asking a very legitimate question? Are people going to go out to see that? I mean, I don't know. Clearly, James Gunn has a plan. What is it? I guess we'll find out. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Every year, we all have movies that we thought were going to be really good and then end up disappointing you. 2024 has been particularly bad for that for me. I mean, how excited was I for Joker 2? How excited? Maybe not a lot of you were, but I was super excited for Venom 3. You know, and there have been others. There have been many others that I was really excited about and looking forward to. Now, one of the films that I surprisingly have been enthusiastic about is Wicked, because they've shown us presentations 2 years in a row at CinemaCon in Vegas for Wicked, and the presentations have blown my socks off. They've been really, really great. Now, I am not the target demographic for Wicked. I am not a Ariana Grande fan, anything like that. And to be honest, there have been a few things that have taken place off camera that have kind of turned me off. Recently, I was kind of pissed off as a fan by that whole Cynthia Erivo situation, you know, blasting the people making the fan art. She walked it back. I respect that, but still, that kind of pissed me off. I was kind of turned off. I know we didn't talk about it on the show because it's really TMZ, but like, to me, I was a little bit turned off finding out that one of Ariana Grande's co-stars in the movie left his pregnant wife to hook up with Ariana Grande while they were making the movie. It's like, that's not cool. So that against me. So I'm like, but the movie looks really good. So I'm expecting it to be good, right? But being that I am not the demographic, I was only kind of willing, going in, ready to not like it, ready to like it. But probably not willing to admit it would be certain levels of good if it was, right? If you're anything like me, and I know a lot of you are, Wicked is way better than I want to admit it is. And it's way better than a lot of you are going to want to admit it is. Because if you're like me, and this isn't your cup of tea normally, and this isn't your demographic, and you're not the demographic for this movie, and you're not the target audience for it, and you're not really into Ariana Grande or anything like that, there's only going to be a certain amount you might be willing before you see this movie to go, well, maybe I'll say it's okay. This movie is way better than you're going to want to admit it is. I was floored by this movie. Within the first 5 or 10 minutes of watching Wicked, I was flabbergasted by how much it felt like old school Hollywood filmmaking, with the cinematography and the sets and the number of extras and the musical numbers. Like, I was sitting there and I'm like, it's not just me, right? Like, this feels like old school Hollywood filmmaking. You know, the type of shit my parents and grandparents watched and that we all watched on VHS tapes much later on. So I was kind of completely taken aback by that. I knew the singing in the movie was going to be top notch, because although I'm not particularly an Ariana Grande fan, the girl can sing. I may not like her material. I may not like her songs. The girl can sing. I mean, she's a flat out remarkable singer. She is. And Cynthia Erivo, Emmy winner, Tony winner, like all that, Grammy winner. Like, you know, she got pipes. So I knew the singing would be good. I'm going to say this right now. Cynthia Erivo, who is great in this movie, but everybody kind of expected her to be great. Guys, I have to admit right now, Ariana Grande in this movie is a revelation. She didn't just sing her guts out. She was fabulous in the role. And I traditionally am very anti, don't put pop stars in movies. For musicals, I get it because you need singing, blah, blah, blah. But I'm like, blah, blah, blah. Ariana Grande is a fucking revelation in this movie. Her portrayal as Galinda was charming, and her comedic timing and her charisma. I did not want to come out of Wicked singing Ariana Grande's praises. But if I'm going to be honest, holy shit, I got to sing Ariana Grande's praises. She was way better. I mean, the singing I expected, but the acting was on such another level than what I was expecting it to be. And Cynthia Erivo, I mean, again, Grammy winner, Tony winner, Emmy winner, like all that kind of stuff. We expected great stuff. She kills it as Elphaba. She kills it as the Wicked Witch. And you remember I was talking a little bit earlier in the show about Pixar. The Pixar movies that really work are the ones that get you emotionally attached to the characters. She got me emotionally attached to Elphaba. I honestly felt emotion for the character. And like, Every time I turned to my wife, Ann, last night, she was in tears. Like 90% of the movie, Ann was like, like it was like in tears. And the cinematography, every frame of this movie was a work of art. It was visually a feast to look at. It was just utterly gorgeous to look at. The interior shots, the exterior shots, the wide shots, the small shots. Hell, Peter Dinklage does the voice of a goat, and even like his little goat's house was like gorgeous. It was beautiful. So on a cinematography, I give this movie a 10 out of 10. I don't give ratings to movies overall, but just on a cinematography thing, 10 out of 10. Like it was an absolute, it was a triumph of filmmaking. Then as a musical, musicals are so bloody hard to pull off well. And granted, they have the advantage of the stage play, but hey, we've all seen great stage play musicals try to be brought to a movie and have it not necessarily work out. My God, the translation of the stage, and I've never seen the stage play, but I can just tell you that it worked on screen, man. It worked on screen. It was so good. Most of the songs I had never heard. The only song from Wicked I have ever heard is Gravity. Right? That's the one everybody. Right? That's it. That's the only one I've ever heard. I am completely unfamiliar with all of the other music in it. And even though I didn't love all the songs, the scenes with the songs, even if I didn't think they were the greatest songs, the scenes with the songs and the choreography and the cinematography and the camera angles, the whole overall number they were all great. They were all great. And you know what? We were talking on the show the other day about, How to Train Your Dragon. They really got to nail that flight scene and capture that sense of awe and wonder like they do in Man of Steel, First Flight and whatever. You see in the trailers that at some point Elphaba gets on the flying broom, so I'm not spoiling anything. That's in the trailer. Her scene when she takes flight, awe-inspiring. As she's flying and singing, I think I'll try defying gravity, and as she's whipping around Oz on this thing, and I'm like, this isn't like, it's awe. I said that about How to Train Your Dragon. You got to feel that sense of awe. I felt this sense of awe. By the way, Jeff Goldblum doesn't come into the movie until later on in the movie, but Jeff Goldblum is gold. Michelle Yeoh is gold. But again, I cannot talk enough about what a revelation Ariana Grande was. Now, let me talk about two things that I didn't like. All right. One is the length. I at 2 hours and 40 plus minutes, I think it could have been shorter. I think they could have taken a razor, shaved about 10 minutes off, like a minute here, 30 seconds there. And I think you would have had a little bit more of a tighter package. I would have liked it would have been a little bit shorter. The second thing is there is a subplot that runs through the movie, and I'm going to assume it comes directly from the musical, of there's something going on. There's a bit of a mystery conspiracy, something going on with the animals in Oz. I won't go into details. As a subplot, I didn't really care about that. I was really just much more focused on the main gist, which was Galinda and Elphaba and their relationship and their evolution and their journey that was going to ultimately take them to Oz. That, to me, was the main gist of it. The little subplot about what's going on with the animals, I didn't really care about, to be honest with you, so I'll give it that. But listen, John M. Chu, he ain't just the guy who directed that Justin Bieber documentary anymore. What was it called? Never Believe in Stopping on a Dream. What was that name of that thing?
Never Stop Believing.
Never Stop Believing. Don't Stop, Never Stopping. Whatever it was. Like he directed that, and he's like, but he's way beyond. Then he directed Crazy Rich Asians, and he's done. Look, he is a director for us to watch.
Yeah, he's established now.
What he did in this film is remarkable. I expected to like Wicked because of all the stuff I saw at CinemaCon. I expected to like it. I never thought I would come out of that movie going, oh my God, I can't wait to see what Ariana Grande does next. because I ain't that guy.
You are.
I am now. I never expected to come out of this movie and go, I want to go back and watch that again.
So we're thinking like we're already in November. We're through the year. We're thinking probably cinematography nominations and directing nominations for sure, huh?
Okay, first of all, Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are both going to get nominations.
We already know that.
But this brings up a really interesting point. Remember we talked about this a few weeks ago that they already kind of revealed that they're going to push out Cynthia Erivo for lead actress and they're going to push Ariana Grande for best supporting actress. That's bullshit. Galinda has more screen time than Elphaba does in this movie. I think she has more dialogue than Elphaba does. Again, this just highlights the fact that the Oscars need to change their rules. Like, well, we just, let's nominate Ariana Grande for cinematography. She wasn't the cinematographer. Yeah, well, she wasn't the fucking supporting actress either. They're both leads. Anyway, that aside. Again, Grande, a fan. And by the way, I'm going to spoil one little thing.
Hold on. Justin Bieber thing was never say never.
Never, thank you. Never say
you.
never.
I just didn't want to give.
I appreciate that. Justin Bieber, never say never.
All right.
I am going to spoil one little thing. Papa, okay, spoiler thing. This is going to small detail, okay? But if you don't want to hear this one little spoiler, mute your computer, okay? And by the way, if you've never seen the Wicked stage play, you won't care about this. But okay, and then unmute it when we take the spoiler alert down. Okay, ready? Mute. Of course, the original Broadway Galinda and Elphaba are Adele Dazeem, also known as Idina Menzel, and Chenoweth. What's Chenoweth's first name again?
Oh,
What's that? Yeah. Kristen Chenoweth.
Yeah.
Are Galinda and they have an appearance in the film. They give them an appearance and a big musical number, which is pretty awesome because when they popped up on screen in the movie, you could tell everybody in my theater who was familiar with the musical because they're like, ah! Like when they pop up. So that was good. Okay, you can take down the spoiler thing.
I can't believe that. That's insane.
It's amazing. Did they really bring Wolverine in?
I know. Yes. It's nuts, man. So this is part of the MCU? Oh, shoot. There's
no point.
Listen, so the story is great. The characters are wonderful. It's not my cup of tea, but the music is great. The cinematography is breathtaking.
She did in the Heights and Tick Tick Boom, the cinematographer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that tracks. That completely tracks. It felt like grand scale, old school Hollywood filmmaking at its finest. Guys, Wicked is a great movie. And it's better if you're like anything like me than you're going to want to admit it is. Because it's better than I wanted to admit it was. It's fabulous. It's really great. And, we all know at this point it's part one. It ends apparently exactly where the intermission happens.
That's what I figured.
In the stage play, right?
Yeah, I figured
in the stage play, Act 1, and it's two parts. Act 1 ends with the big gravity number. No wizard that ever is or was ever gonna hold me down. Boom, and credits.
Gravity.
Gravity. And you know what? Going into it, knowing it was a part one, felt that there could be a danger of it having a Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring ending problem. Where it ended, Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring. Yeah. Well, Mr. Frodo, there's Mordor, the place we've been trying to find. Credits roll.
Yeah,
and
the dragons
in the
are just like,
what the hell? What? That's
it's it's right there.
This movie ends on this super crescendo. Wicked ends on this super crescendo that feels like a natural breaking point. Right?
Right.
So it ends and the credits roll and you're on a high. And so that part worked. I was a little bit worried about that. Guys, why couldn't Joker 2 have worked out like this? Why couldn't Venom 3 have worked out like this? But Wicked is fantastic. I got to give it all the flowers in the world. And I'm sitting here saying, I cannot wait to see part 2. Can't wait. Anyway, yeah, so I don't know. Like this is not my kind of. Are either you guys have you been interested
No, I
in seeing
mean,
this?
Gladiator 2 is probably more on my list, and then
Yeah, I'm seeing that. I'm seeing that in 3 hours.
and then this was like on my radar, but with all the reviews and then your take from this, like it's probably definitely on my go-to because this month already is sort of like dry, but I'm kind of looking forward to it now.
The Wizard of Oz story always interested me. I'm not afraid to admit that. I don't care.
Oh, we all grew up watching Wizard of Oz.
so
Absolutely.
so hearing about this story, how this, when I first heard about the play and what the story behind the play was, something like this I was always been interested in. I mean, I'm not excited for it only because there's other things I'm excited for that surround it, but it's good that people are liking it. I mean, it doesn't matter. Like if it's a good movie, it's a good movie.
Right.
I'm always looking to expand my what do you call it? Taste.
Your
and
expand
musicals,
your borders.
Yeah, and musicals have always been a problem for me, only because like to get into a theater to watch a musical has always been difficult for me to motivate myself. This feels like one of the ones that will break through that little guard I put up. Just because I've never been a fan. I've never seen anyone that I really enjoyed. Maybe the Tick Tick Boom, was that a musical? With Andrew Garfield?
Well,
where it was kind of where it splashes a little bit of music into it.
I mean, it had a lot of music. I don't know if I call it a musical,
Yeah.
but it definitely is close to it. Yeah.
But where singing is actually telling the story, I have trouble following sometimes.
Gotcha.
And that's
Speaking
why
of-
I have a problem with
And,
it.
and I think a lot of people are like that. So there are going to be people out there who just aren't interested in Wicked because of that. And that's perfectly a legitimate reason not to be interested. But I am just telling you guys, this movie is high level filmmaking. Like from when you break down all the disciplines that go into making film, this movie is high level filmmaking. And I'm really impressed.
It
by
kind of feels like with what you're saying and being a film enthusiast myself and all facets of film, like, when you're watching a film, you're doing the same thing. You're looking at the editing, cinematography, the acting, the story, the script. So that alone just draws me towards this now. But Ray brought up something, and I want to ask you, John. He said, movies that music and singing have kind of pushed the narrative.
Right.
Was there singing in your audience?
No. Oh, I'm glad you brought that up. So a lot of people, somebody wrote into the show yesterday. One of our viewers wrote into the show yesterday asking, like, I'm a little bit nervous because I want to go and I want to hear Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande and the cast singing. I'm really nervous. I'm going to go and a bunch of people in the audience are going to be singing along and ruin it. You know how in a movie, if you're at least in a good movie theater, the movie theater will start like with a message. Remember, folks, don't talk, don't text, silence your phones,
And
all
drink
that
Coke.
kind of stuff. Well, they had one before Wicked played, but it's Jeff Goldblum's voice.
Yeah.
And go, remember everybody, don't talk, don't text, don't sing. Let people enjoy the movie. So they actually had Jeff Goldblum telling the audience, guys, don't sing along. They're going to have, wherever you live, they are going to have special sing-along screenings. And I bet those are going to be a ball to be at.
I guarantee it's going to be at the Hollywood Bowl.
Oh, for sure. 100%. But for this, for average moviegoers coming out to see a movie, they wanted to point out, hey, everybody, if you're big fans of the musical, that's great, but don't sing along because there are people here that are here to watch the movie.
One last golden question.
All right.
Walking away from the movie, do you see a lock in any of the categories for the Oscars? I would think costume design, maybe.
Oh, costume design.
Is that a lock, you think?
Costume design is a
without
lock.
seeing the rest of the movies for the year.
Yeah, costume design is absolutely a lock.
Cinematography, it's going up against Dune 2, right?
Yeah, and a number of other films like Conclave is gorgeous cinematography. It's hard to say. I mean, I would definitely nominate for cinematography. I would nominate Ariana Grande.
For Best Actress?
Yeah, for
But
Best
that's
Actress.
not a lock for sure.
No, because they're running her for Best Supporting.
Right.
So
Oh.
I do think she'll get a Best Supporting Actress nom. And listen, right now, I think John M. Chu deserves a nomination for Best Director. I think what he did with this film is nothing short of breathtaking.
I don't think he did a presentation at CinemaCon where a tear wasn't coming down his eye. He
he was very
he gave
passionate
his
about
heart
this.
and
Yeah.
soul to this film.
Man, but then you're going Denis Villeneuve and John M. Chu, which they both deserve a nomination. Who deserves the win, at the end of the day?
Well, Denis Villeneuve does.
Yeah.
I mean,
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
You still believe?
Oh, yeah. It's the best movie I've seen. Dune 2 to
So
me is
Dune
still the
is
best
still-
movie. It's the best movie I've seen in the last 10 years.
Okay.
Dune 2 for me. But Wicked is just so far above what I thought it would be. I cannot believe that fucking, like, I loved it. And I can't believe that I did. Anyway, guys.
It's good.
Question is for you. Have you had a chance to see Wicked? If not, are you planning on seeing it? What are you hearing about? Where are your expectations right now? Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys. With all that down, we are now going to get on to the most important part of our show, which is, of course, taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take a quick moment here and thank a couple of other sponsors of today's episode of the show, our friends at Mando and Tile. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Mando. Thank goodness it is football season. It's time for tailgates, touchdowns, and Sunday cookouts with the crew. But unfortunately, along with the drinks and the food, sometimes you also bring along your odor. And that is why Mando whole body deodorant should be an absolute tailgate game day essential. And that's why Mando's the MVP. It's clinically proven 72-hour odor control, so it's perfect for long days at the game or at the bar. I'm loving the Clover Wood scent, but they've got options like bourbon leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, and even unscented if you prefer to go stealth mode. I like to use it after the shower, before the gym, or even important meetings. It's that reliable. And right now, Mando's got a killer deal. New customers get $5 off their best-selling starter pack with my exclusive code CAMPEA. That's over 40% off. Just go to shopmando, that's shopmando.com, and use the code CAMPEA. Seriously, guys, if you want a deodorant that's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, and just works better than anything else you've tried, it's time to make the switch to Mando. So don't wait. Control body odor anywhere with Mando. Head over to shopmando.com and use the code CAMPEA and get $5 off your starter pack. Trust me, you're going to love it. That's at shopmando.com. Go and check it out now. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Life 360 Tile Trackers. With the holidays right around the corner, it's all about family, fun, and of course, keeping track of everything while traveling or hosting. For me, that's where Life 360's Tile Trackers are an absolute lifesaver. These little things help keep the holiday stress in check. Whether I'm tracking my keys, wallet, or even our luggage when we travel, Tile Trackers make it easy to keep tabs on everything important. Just open the Tile app to ring it when it's nearby, or track down its location on the map if it's a bit farther. I had mentioned this one time I went to a poker tournament in Vegas, and I keep everything, my wallet, my tablet, and stuff like that, in this satchel backpack of mine, and I thought I lost it. I went crazy for hours until I finally realized I had left it in the car. If I had had Tile Tracker, it would have made my life a lot simpler. And here's one of the things I love about Tile. Tile syncs with Life 360, so I can see the location of my family members and all of our tiled items in one spot. So make your holidays a little less stressful and family-proof your season with Life 360's Tile Trackers. Visit tile.com and use the code CAMPEA to get 15% off. That's tile.com. Use the code CAMPEA. And thank you to our friends at Mando and Tile for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get on to your comments and questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Okay, all right. What's next says, in my opinion, David Prowse doesn't get enough credit for his performance. Prowse is Darth Vader. Yes, James Earl Jones did a good job, and but he only did the voice. Darth Vader wouldn't be the iconic villain he is without Prowse's mannerisms and presence.
I'm going to disagree with you. Don't get me wrong. I am not discrediting David Prowse. I mean, like what he did was important. But James Earl Jones gave the power to Darth Vader.
He did.
James Earl Jones gave the personality to Darth Vader. The guy in the suit going did not. I mean, look, all due respect, and I am a Star Wars Puritan. I am a Star Wars radical fanatic since my earliest age. And David Prowse being the guy in the suit, man. But what did he do that was particularly difficult? And I know, look, he was really upset when his voice got taken out and all that kind of stuff. But James Earl Jones was Darth Vader.
Oh, he actually wanted to be the voice as well?
Oh, yeah. I think originally the plan was he was supposed to be the voice. But, I mean, James Earl Jones is Darth Vader. All due respect to David Prowse. And David Prowse will always have a place in history. Absolutely. And should. But if you want to make it a razor question of, was David Prowse Darth Vader or was James Earl Jones Darth Vader? Okay, if you want to post it like that, James Earl Jones was Darth Vader. I mean, that's
'cause
everything about Darth Vader when we think of him
Yeah.
was James Earl Jones.
And even when you see like photos of James Earl Jones, a lot of times you think Darth Vader.
Yeah.
And he was just a voice, but I'm looking at him and I'm thinking Darth Vader. So
Yeah. All right, what's
okay,
next?
Anonymous says 2 questions. John, have you heard when the sequel to Heat will be coming out? The De Niro Pacino version. I've heard Adam Driver and Austin Butler are cast. And then what do you think about Renzi Feliz playing Miles Morales?
Don't care about X actor and X role
Yes.
things. I mean,
obviously
he's a good actor. If they cast him, I'd be happy. But there's about 40 or 50 other actors that if they cast, I'd be happy as well. As far as like the second, I have no idea. Like there was a period of a few months where a lot of news was coming out about that project, kind of hot and heavy, and really nothing's come out since, which is not a bad sign.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, right off the top of my head, I have no idea when that thing's coming. It's a good question though. I just don't know.
He's not talking about Heat 2
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
with Michael Mann.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who
okay.
directed the original Heat?
Yeah,
yes.
the last update we had was in July.
Yeah. So honestly, I don't know anything else at this point, but it's definitely something we're all keeping our eyes open for. All right. What's next?
Okay. We got Dante Moore here. Let me go up here. What's up, crew? After Kevin Feige's recent comments about the X-Men, it got me thinking about who could potentially pop up in the next upcoming movies. For me, an X-Men who has the ability to show up anywhere is Mystique. Having her in a film, but as a politician, random civilian, Secret Service agent, then at the end, the big reveal with the flash of yellow in the eyes lets us know that the character is Mystique. I'd flip out. Just my thoughts and love the show. My problem with that is it mirrors the original.
Well,
X-Men movies.
that's exactly what I was going to say, because like what you're describing does sound like fun, but it's exactly what they did before, and I don't know that Mystique is a character you kind of lead off with. Now, again, what you just described totally makes sense, and that would work. My problem with it is exactly what Jonathan just said. It's kind of just following the exact same footsteps that they've already done with Mystique. And I think you lead out with a different character, a more traditional X-Men character, I think, than say Mystique. But hey, you never know. That's exactly what they could do, because what you said makes sense.
And doesn't that feel like an easy way in? Like
Very
the
much.
mutants are a lot more complicated, I think, than
Well, easy and just it's been done already.
Right.
So, but you never know. We'll
I
see
mean,
what they do.
why not just have Nightcrawler get into the White House?
Yeah, Nightcrawler attacking the White House. By the way, I still think that
That was great.
X-Men 2, Nightcrawler attacking the White House, I think is the greatest opening scene to a comic book movie. I that and the concentration camp scene in the first X-Men.
Sure.
I mean, so amazing. All right, what's next?
Okay, Alex Von Gollum says, hello, everyone. Today is the 21st, or today, the 21st, would be the 100th birthday of Christopher Tolkien. Without his commendable work of classifying and putting together Tolkien's manuscripts, our understanding of the Legendarium would be limited. We wouldn't have the Silmarillion, History of Middle-earth, Beren, and Luthien, among others. He took us to sail to Valinor, the Undying Land, Beleriand, and beyond. Thank you, Christopher, for bringing us closer to this incredible land where our hearts sing joyfully.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people forget that much of what they understand of Middle-earth lore didn't actually come from J.R.R. Tolkien. It came from his son, who kind of picked it up a little bit later. Much like what happened with the Dune books, only the Dune books went to crap. But yes, you're right. A lot of our understanding of Middle-earth came from Christopher. And I didn't realize he'd be like 101. That's crazy.
It's crazy.
All right, what's next?
Yasmar says, seeing the massive practical sets used in Wicked made me wonder, what do studios do with these after they're done filming? Do they chuck them in the trash? Universal could probably build a whole section with these at the theme park.
It really depends. If it's something that could be reused, like, look, they literally have warehouses filled with props and set elements. Like, if there's anything that a studio thinks they could practically reuse at some point, they'll tuck it away somewhere.
Yeah.
And then bring it out. Like, I took a tour of Warner Brothers Studios, which you can do too. If you're ever in LA, I highly recommend take the Warner Brothers Studio tour. And like, they literally took us through these like wardrobe vaults.
They're massive.
They're
huge.
massively big.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, but things like flowers, well, those are going to have to get tossed out. And there's obviously there's a lot of stuff that gets specifically made for a specific project. Not really a practical way that you could use this regularly again. Probably just gets thrown out, but as much as they can save, they'll save and reuse later. All right, what's next?
Hank Pym says, I can't believe it was even a debate whether or not to sing along during a movie or not. Don't talk, don't sing, be quiet. I had people behind and in front of me singing along last night to Wicked. It drove me insane.
I get it, though.
If you have a lot, it becomes such a distraction.
Yeah, I know. Listen, I 100%, and I don't think they should, and that's why I liked it in my screening that Jeff Goldblum said, don't sing along. And nobody did in my theater. But I will confess, when I go to see Les Mis, and I will not divulge how many times I've gone to see Les Mis, it is difficult for me not to sing along. I am warning you, Javert. I'm the stronger man by far. Whenever they start Les Mis, I want to sing along. And for people who have been wildly waiting for a screen adaptation of Wicked, I get it. You want to sing along. I do. I get it. But it's best not to. I think it wouldn't bother me so much because I love the environment of going to the movies when people are genuinely hyped up and excited and having a good time. It's kind of like why you can watch an NFL football game on TV. I like being at the stadium, though, because I'm surrounded by thousands of other people cheering and, there's an energy to that, too. But listen, so in principle, I agree with you. And I'm glad they had Jeff Goldblum tell people don't sing along. But at the same time, I kind of get it that people would do that. So anyway, I just think every theater playing the movie should make sure to either play that Jeff Goldblum PSA or have a staff person come into the theater before the movie starts, say, thank you for joining us in whatever theater we're at for this presentation weekend. We do ask, this is not a sing-along screening. Please let everybody enjoy the film and have a good time, something like that. So we'll see. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Brian O'Connor who says, hey crew, too young to fully experience The Matrix back in 99, but tell us about what your initial reaction was and what the buzz was like opening weekend. It's one of my favorite films. It changed a lot of things. Yeah,
it had a big impact. Now, nothing like Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or where the whole world started talking about it. But Matrix came out and it caught a lot of people really well. It's not like it didn't fundamentally change the direction of pop culture or anything, but it was a big deal. And, everybody was talking about bullet time. If you guys,
they overused it too. That joke was overused.
They did, but it was visually amazing. We hadn't really seen anything like that up until that point. And it was really big. All right, what's next?
Julia G says, referring to the question about Warriors, Manuel, Miranda, and Tony Award-winning actress Issa Davis, niece of Angela Davis, just dropped a musical concept album. They gender bent the Warriors, and it's great. Lauryn Hill, Busta Rhymes, and Mark Anthony are in it too. Wow.
Yeah, somebody brought that up the other day. I'll be honest with you. I don't care. I don't care about concept albums and stuff like that. And I love Lin-Manuel Miranda, but I love his movie stuff. That's what I'm into. So, but yeah, a lot of people who are into that kind of stuff, very excited about it. I saw posted about it on a lot of different outlets. I'm not going to lie to you, pretend that it even remotely interests me. It does not. But still, it's kind of cool when you see these little projects, whatever they are, that kind of movie adjacent. All right, what's next?
Bright says 2025 might be the best year for entertainment ever. Fantastic Four, Superman in the same month, Last of Us Season 2, Daredevil Born Again for TV, GTA 6, Yotai, and Death Stranding 2 for gaming. We're so back.
I would say hold your horses. I would say calm down a bit because every year you can go, next year is going to be the greatest year ever. You could, but you don't know if any of that stuff is going to be good. Am I excited for Fantastic Four? Absolutely, but it could be crap. Am I excited for Superman? Damn right I am, but it could be crap. So let's slow the roll. Listen, let's just say this. let's agree that there's a lot to look forward to next year. Okay? We can agree on that, right? We can agree that there's a lot to look forward to next year. Let's reel it in a little bit on saying next year's going to be the greatest year of entertainment ever. I've heard that said a lot of times over the years that have not gone to plan. So let's just hold it to there's a lot to look forward to. And there is. There's a whole lot to, like the stuff you mentioned and a lot more. So, but let's keep it to that right now. All right, what's next?
Okay, Raymond Verada says, as a follow-up to my no singing at Wicked debate comment, AMC now issues a friendly warning of no singing, no wailing. That's interesting. To enforce its silence as golden policy. Don't worry, frustrated theater karaoke fans, sing-along versions will be in December.
Yes, and I guarantee you, a lot of people probably won't even have to wait till December. I'm sure there are going to be some local theaters that will designate specific screenings as sing-along screenings and all that kind of stuff. But yes, I loved the fact. I thought it was very smart when I heard that PSA and I instantly recognized Jeff Goldblum's voice. And he says, no singing. I thought, you know what? Very smart. Because that takes the interpretation out of it. Right? Because otherwise it's like, well, no one said don't sing, and it is a musical, and right? They explicitly said it. No singing. So hopefully, and listen, I get it. If you're a big fan of the musical and you've been down to go see it, so you want to sing along, I understand, but just wait for the singing until, an appropriate screening for it. All right, what's next?
Okay, Iken says, I believe the X-Men character we could see soon will be Storm. She's an Avenger in the current Avengers comics. Her solo comic series is amazing and appears to be doing well. And she astonishes in What If. The goddess deserves her shine.
I mean, because somebody's in a lineup right now in the comics really historically has meant very little. So none of that really means anything. By the way, I say that, but I agree that I think Storm is one of the prime candidates to be one of those recognizable X characters that do show up in the next couple of movies, which are Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts. So I happen to agree, but it's not because she's in the lineup now or whatever. To me, the biggest thing is the What If appearance. The very fact that you got Storm popping up in the What If animated thing is a nice little thing. But again, might not be her at all. It could be a little bit more of a grounded character. That's why I think a Hank McCoy, somebody who's like interacting with the government already, somebody like, even a Professor X, who's just a guy in a wheelchair, sort of thing. But I do think Storm is one of the big candidates. All right, what's next?
Seconds from Disaster says, just bought tickets this morning for Moana 2. Me and my girlfriend are taking our 4.5-year-old daughter. It'll be her first movie at the theater. We're really excited. Wow. First movie. It's special.
My one big worry is that they have not, it's not too late. It's not like, man, it's late for first reactions to come out. No, we're still over a week away from the movie coming out. But I do have a big worry that they are holding the review embargo until the day of the movie comes out. Listen, and you know how excited I am for Moana 2 because I love Moana. But the fact that they have still not lifted the review embargo and apparently not lifting it until the day the movie comes out, and I'm still not seeing first reactions. And listen, we still got a couple of days. What is it today? Thursday? Right. If like Saturday, first reactions drop, all's good. It's all good. But I am worried right now because I believe when studios hide reactions, it's a bad sign. Not 100% of the time, but most of the time, it's a bad sign. It tells me that the studio is not confident in the movie. And so I'm a little bit worried. Look, I got my tickets. Ann and I got our tickets. We're going to go be seeing Moana first public screening. But I'm a little bit worried that they have not lifted the review embargo yet. Hopefully that changes in the next 72 hours. All right, what's next?
Cody Hunt Film says, just saw Presumed Innocent on Apple TV. Jake Gyllenhaal is incredible in it. I can't help but think he'd be a great Batman. He's charming, but has an aura of darkness inside him. He's the right age to feel seasoned and be a father. He's a star as well.
Remember there's a whole period of time that we really thought Jake Gyllenhaal was going to be Batman.
In The Batman. Matt Reeves, right?
No, I think it was Was it for the Matt Reeves one or was it for the Ben Affleck role?
The Ben Affleck, he would have been very young because that goes back before we knew.
That long. I mean, Jake Gyllenhaal's in his mid 40s now.
Yeah.
So even if you went back 15 years, I would still have been 30. But maybe it was for the patents for the Batman role. I can't remember, because remember he came out of doing that. He specifically said, remember Jake Gyllenhaal talked about he took a meeting for Batman.
Yeah.
And then we saw that boxing movie he did.
Right.
With Forrest Whitaker. What was the name of that boxing movie?
It was left.
Southpaw?
Southpaw.
Yeah.
Southpaw.
Left.
So it was coming out of Southpaw. Remember how ripped he was?
Yeah.
He was huge and ripped, and we were like, man, he'd make a he's a world-class actor. A lot of people still don't understand how he didn't get an Oscar nomination for Nightcrawler, not to be confused with X-Men's Nightcrawler.
Love that movie.
But I mean, yeah, he would make a great, listen, yeah, he's not the only guy who could play Batman, but he would be a very good Batman.
Yep, agreed.
All right, what's next?
Terry says Yellowstone prediction. Rip Lloyd and Casey finally show Beth the train station, and Beth will be the one to put Jamie there. Then Beth and Rip will move to Texas and start a new ranch or work on another with McConaughey's character, maybe.
Possibly. Listen, I'm still only on episode. I still only watched episode 1 of the new of what are we on? Season 5, part 2?
5.
Anyway, I've only watched the first new episode. I haven't seen the second or third. As somebody who is a passionate fan of Yellowstone, if you guys have watched my show for a couple of years, you know how crazy I am about Yellowstone. I love Yellowstone. Didn't love that first episode back. Didn't love it. But it will be interesting. I will pick back up on it. We'll see where it goes, because Beth and Rip are two of my favorite characters on television. And they are like the best couple on television. I still remember, I can't remember which season it was, like season 2 or 3, where these guys had like taken Beth and they're like beating her up and they're assaulting her. And she's still like, oh my God, my man is coming. Like Rip is coming. And you're like, it's like, it was like a superhero, because you know, like, oh my God, you guys are so fucked. When Rip shows up, you are so fucked. I love them as a couple. They're so great. So hopefully I get more into this half of the season. All right, what's next?
Let's see. Ray Yearns for the Blades says, does it make over or under a Black Adam, Captain America 4, Thunderbolts, Superman, Minecraft? Oh, I think those make over, but I hated the trailer 1, but trailer 2 makes Minecraft look like stupid fun. Terrible, but stupid fun nonetheless.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
Minecraft may not make more than a Black Adam, but I mean, I think Thunderbolts and Captain America 4 will.
Yeah. I mean, stupid fun in the way that you hold up a shower head to your balls. I mean, I don't know,
great, actually.
but I don't.
What are you talking about?
I don't think it's going to make a Black Adam. Let me see the rest of the list.
It
Captain
was
America 4.
Yeah.
Will make at least a Black Adam.
Yep.
Thunderbolts.
I think Thunderbolts will make a Black Adam.
Superman.
Close.
Minecraft.
No.
Minecraft won't make a Black Adam.
I don't think it will. I mean, who knows? Listen, I'm saying that having not seen the movie. If I see the movie and go, my God, that was way better than I thought it would be, maybe. But right now, my guess will be no. And Superman, close. I think it'll just get over the Black Adam mark, but I still don't think by a lot. But I think Captain America 4 and Thunderbolts will both beat Black Adam, yeah. All right, what's next?
Tristan Thorpe says, did my due diligence and watch The Godfather Part 1 and 2 for the first time.
Nice.
I dug them. Now do I watch the third part, even though I've heard not so great things? I think you make your own decision and see it.
This is what I would say. Is Godfather 3 the weakest of the Godfather movies? Not disputable. Absolutely, it is the weakest of the 3 Godfather films. It's still a great movie.
Yeah, it's not like it's not a bad movie.
It still got nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards. I would say this: if you take out Sofia Coppola,
yeah,
seriously, you just
I
take
agree.
that part out of the film. I'm not saying it's as good as Godfather 1 and 2 then, but listen, Godfather 3 is still a great movie. It's just everybody craps on it because it's clearly the weakest of the three.
Yeah.
And it is the weakest of the three. But in my opinion, it is still great.
And if you really do want to follow like the life of Michael, then that completes it. So there you go.
And one of the great moments ever. Every time I think I'm out, they pull me back in. Like one of the great moments ever. Anyway, yeah, definitely check it out. All right, what's next?
Ryan Jacob says, Wicked isn't my demographic either, but I saw it last night. It's amazing. I felt like I witnessed history in the making. Had a few laughs, some emotional scenes, and a good story. This movie is going to be very huge. Gladiator 2 tonight. Can't wait.
Yeah, me too. Again, and listen, for those of you who are watching, I don't want to make it sound like I think Wicked is like one of the 5 greatest films of the last 5 years. I'm just like going on about it because it was just so much better than I expected it to be. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't think it's Dune 2 good. I don't think it's The Goodfellas good. It's just that I was expecting a good movie, and it's a great movie. It's a great movie. I'm not saying it should be a favorite to win Best Picture or anything like that. It's just that I'm so surprised by how good it is, especially considering I am not its audience, man. But it's really good. All right, what's next?
We got Sam Fisher who says, is the Wicked sequel called Wicked Part 2 or Wicked Act 2?
No idea.
I'm pretty sure it's Part 2, but if the first movie ends where Act 1 ends, in my opinion, the film should be called Act 2. I know it's semantics, but Act 2 feels more appropriate, especially for a movie adaptation of a play.
It makes no difference. But no,
it's marketing a movie, though.
I'll tell you right now, it will be called Part 2.
Yeah.
And the reason I can tell you definitively that it'll be called Part 2 is because even though the name of this movie is Wicked, when the title comes up on screen, it says Wicked Part 1. So the name of the movie is Wicked, but when the title screen comes up, it's Wicked Part 1. And they do a really good job because like the opening of the movie is after the events of Wizard of Oz. So the movie starts where Wizard of Oz ends off. And then it quickly goes to the flashback. So once they finish the part where the movie starts with after the events of Wizard of Oz, and just as they do start the flashback, which is 99% of the movie, it does Wicked Part 1. So I think that's pretty definitive that Wicked Part 2 will indeed be called Wicked Part 2. All right, what's next?
Zelda Master says, as a fan of musicals, I have 2 options. This movie may have supplanted Chicago as the best stage-to-screen adaptation, and this movie may even be better than the first act of the musical. I think maybe they mean the stage. Easy Best Picture nom.
I think in an era where we have 10 Best Picture nominees, I feel very confident that Wicked is going to be one of the 10 Best Picture nominations at the Oscars this year. The advantage, of course, that the movie has over the stage is that you're not limited by 40 feet by 30 feet stage. You can do anything. And John M. Chu takes full advantage of that. I need to marinate on it a little longer. I think I liked it more than Chicago too. Again, let me think on that. I just saw it. Maybe I'll think about it for a couple of weeks. Okay, I still maybe prefer Chicago, but right now I think maybe I like it more than Chicago. I don't think I like it more than The Greatest Showman. Like, to me, The Greatest Showman is still one of my favorite movies I've seen in the last number of years. I love that movie. I still think I prefer Moulin Rouge, but the very fact that I've got Wicked in that conversation with Moulin Rouge and The Greatest Showman, for me, that says a lot. All right, what's next?
Robo Producer says, John and Gang recently showed my wife Solo and saw your review on it too. Simply don't understand all the hate for this film. I'd surely like a sequel or a Lando spin-off. Charming.
Well, I mean, listen, Childish Gambino is still saying that he is still developing a Lando project. And listen, I still don't believe they ever should have made Solo. Right? I said that from the moment they announced the film. I said, I don't think this is a good idea. And I still don't think it was a good idea to make it. That being said, it's a fun movie. I think it's a very enjoyable space adventure film. I like it. It's a thumbs up movie for me. Do I think it's one of the greatest Star Wars movies ever made? No. But I think it's a good film, but still probably one they shouldn't have made in the first place. But I enjoyed it. I liked it. And I would be curious to see Donald Glover continue to play Lando Calrissian because I thought he did a great job in it.
Mm-hmm.
All right, what's next?
Robo Producer also says, I agree, James Earl Jones is Vader. He made the character. Love the fight with Vader and Kenobi in the Kenobi show. Underrated fight. Oh, yeah, in Kenobi, the series.
Yeah, listen. Oh, you know me. I love spending time talking about things I didn't like in movies that I loved, and I enjoy spending time talking about the things I did like in movies that I hate. I did not like the Obi-Wan series, but it had a few things going for it. And one of the great things, not good thing, great things, was that final, not the first one, but the final Obi-Wan Vader fight. That was everything. Narrative gives power to action scenes. Narrative gives power to action scenes. And the story being told of Vader and Obi-Wan in that last fight in the Obi-Wan series was chef's kiss. It was amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I didn't even like the show, but that was fantastic. And I absolutely loved it. All right. What's next?
Got Ryan Jacob. I'm not sure that they'd go this way, but if mutants, witches, and vampires, supernatural, and other superpowered individuals have been in the MCU, they
have
could
always been in the MCU.
Oh, have always been in the MCU. They could be things of legend and lore hiding in the background. It was only Iron Man who came forward first.
Well, Iron Man's not a supernatural thing. He's just a guy who built a piece of technology, right? So, like, one of the things I said on the show the other day is when Blade, whenever that happens, when Blade arrives, if it ever happens, you know, we could all go, wait a minute, vampires have always been around. How come we've never heard of them? Right? It's just going to say, well, they just have been. When Agatha came along, we're not going, wait a minute, witches have been around for hundreds of years in this world. How come we've never heard of witches before? Well, they just have. That might be the approach they take with mutants. It's like, wait a minute, there have been mutants around this whole time. How come they haven't talked about them? Same reason they haven't talked about vampires or witches or whatever before too. So I don't think that's the approach they'll take, but it is conceivable. All right, what's next?
DJ Infa says, according to Infinity War, Vision is a makeup of Banner, Stark, and Jarvis. In Ultron, when Vision says, there may be no way to make you trust me before picking up the hammer, I feel like the Jarvis in him remembers the dinner party scene, or was at least subconscious to it. Because of that, the wit we see here reminds me of something Tony would do.
No. There was no indication that he carried the memories of Tony Stark or Bruce Banner or anything like that, right? There was no indication of that. It's just that a part of his makeup is a little bit of all those guys, but he didn't have their memories transferred into him or anything like that. So I think it was just a great, fun scene to have him go, here you go. It was to say to the audience, Vision's really worthy. That's all it was.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not he was only able to lift it because he's a machine and Mjolnir didn't gauge his worthiness or whatever, that's up for discussion as well. But I don't think it goes any, at least I don't think the meaning goes any deeper than that. But that's just my guess. You could be right. All right, what's next?
DJ follows up and says, I love the Mission Impossible films, but Phil Cruise has rinsed every last drop out of it. Do you think it can be rebooted and get a similar legacy to Bond? New actor every 10 years or so.
No, Mission Impossible. They thought about doing that, but then they realized Mission Impossible is Tom Cruise now. This Mission Impossible series is him. And listen, I don't care what anybody says. I thought Dead Reckoning, it was called Dead Reckoning Part 1. Now it's just called Dead Reckoning. I thought Dead Reckoning was really good. I don't think it was the best of the Mission Impossible franchises, but I thought it was great. I really had a lot of fun with it. And I'm looking forward to Final Reckoning. Now, whether it's the last one or not, listen, at some point, Tom Cruise's age is going to catch up to him. It happens to all of us. He is in his 60s. He can only do the things he does for so much longer. It's remarkable that he's still able to do the things that he does at his age. And I'm not saying he's done yet, but I'm saying at some point it's going to catch up. So I don't know if he's actually done. I suspect this might be the last Mission Impossible film he does. And certainly it's a valuable IP, so at some point they'll probably reboot it sometime. But I don't think it's the new James Bond. I don't think it's something that you switch every 10 years. I think this franchise is Tom Cruise. Because you know what nobody ever talks about when you bring up the Mission Impossible franchise?
Jeremy Renner.
The one with Jeremy Renner. And I like that movie, by the way. But no one ever talks about it because they were kind of thinking maybe they could hand it off, but then they realized they couldn't. All right, what's next?
Okay, DJ says in a two-parter, Clint Eastwood, thank you. Juror 2 was brilliant. Everything I wanted, my favorite movie in years. It's criminal that it didn't get more studio backing. If it wasn't for Campea Crew, I will have probably missed this. Double bill last night, Juror 2 and Gladiator 2, best night I had in the movies in a long time. UK's unlimited model is the best. No limit of movies, just can't book shows that overlap on showing times. Interesting.
Yeah, I remember when AMC A-List first came out, some people grumbled about the limitation of 3 movies per week, right? Because back in its criminal fraud stage, MoviePass was unlimited. Want to see 5 movies in a day? You can go see. So when AMC A-List came out and there was that limitation of 3 movies per week, some people grumbled, but I made the point, guys, other than a couple of my film critic friends, I don't know anybody that sees 12 movies a month. Even some of my hardest core of hardcore movie film friends, I really don't know many people who see more than 12 movies a month. And even for me, I have very rarely run into a situation where, oh no, I can't book a movie because I've got my 12 movies per month. That's been extremely rare. For 25 bucks a month, 12 movies. Think about that. That is crazy. 12 movies in any format, regular, Prime, Dolby, 3D, IMAX, whatever. It is simply, with all the crap I give AMC, it is the best program out there for film fans. And if you're in the UK, the Cineworld one is fabulous as well. All right, what's next?
Okay, here's our last of the tips. Anonymous says they played that Jeff Goldblum PSA in my screening, but it didn't matter. These people just openly sang throughout the movie. I love musicals, but I'd never sing along to a showing to bother others. I don't think movie PSAs work on most audience members. Also, I feel like, okay, every once in a while, if you just like sing like a portion of like the big song on there, but these people are singing through the whole thing. Come on.
I think PSAs do impact a lot. Like I said, I had a full theater last night, man. By the way, some people saying, why didn't you do an out of theater reaction? Because I got out of the theater at 1 a.m. And I figured by the time I get home, edit it quick and upload it, it's going to be 2 a.m. and I'm doing the show in a few hours. So I just decided not to put up an out of theater. Now I am going to see Gladiator 2 in an hour and a half. And I will be doing an out of theater reaction on that. But just last night I realized it's so late. There's no point in putting it up. But I was in a full theater. Nobody sang. And I think it was because of that PSA. So I don't think it works on everybody, but I do think it works on a lot of people. So I am sorry you had that experience, though. That sucks.
Yeah. All right, moving on to our members. Rachel Knight online. After seeing Wicked last night, I can confidently say that John M. Chu deserves Best Director nod for this one. Movie is truly remarkable. I cannot praise the set and costume design nearly enough. Spectacular.
It's better than and I think a lot of people are going to want to admit it is. Because it's not our kind of movie. Because we don't care about Ariana Grande. Because we've been pissed off by certain things Cynthia Erivo or maybe Ariana Grande has done or whatever. So I'm just saying this movie's a lot better than a lot of people are going to want to admit it is. And because it is truly a wonderful cinematic achievement. I don't think it's the best film of the year, but it is a remarkable cinematic achievement. And I really think most people should see it. All right, what's next?
All right, Maverick says, I know the DC universe hasn't officially started yet, but I can already see the potential for DC to rise when they hire talented directors, writers, and actors. Even the DC Infinite app features the 76 DC logo. I suppose it's just my enthusiasm as a fan.
One of the great things about a restart is that it's all possibilities, right?
Yep.
It's a blank page. There is nothing with more, what I can't remember who said that. There is nothing that has more potential than a blank page.
Mm-hmm.
And James Gunn is bringing on great people, great writers, great casts, but he's been living in that honeymoon period where it's just all theory and it's been all potential. We're almost at the point now where it's time to put it on screen and we're actually going to watch something. And again, I'm not going to count Creature Commandos in that. Superman is getting close. And now it's time to put up. And I've got all the faith in the world. Everybody knows I am a James Gunn fanboy. I don't mind admitting it. I am. But it's time that he's got to now show it, right? It's not about potential anymore. It's not about theory. It's not about what it could be, which is what we've been riding on for the last year. And there's nothing wrong with that. But the honeymoon's over. Got to now put the money where your mouth is. And let's see if this movie's good. I hope it is. All right, what's next?
We got King Daddy Goat who says, hey, John and crew, hope all is well. Did you guys hear Marvel is creating a new Infinity Stone? I believe it's the Death Stone. I think he means in the comics. You think we'll see this adapted into the MCU since Death was introduced? Thanks
No,
they
are so done with the Infinity Stones in the MCU. And by the way, I think in the comics they've introduced other Infinity Stones as well already. But no, they are well past all the Infinity Stone stuff. It's done. By the way, speaking of Infinity Stones, did you notice, guys, in that fucking Minecraft trailer, the Tesseract? Did you notice that Jack Black found the Tesseract?
Yeah, he did.
I can't be the only one that noticed that, right? Where he's clearly found the Tesseract. So I'm like, oh, there's your Infinity Stone for you.
That's the great power to get you to that world.
All right, what's next?
Dominic says, the lack of Star Wars films on the big screen combined with the consistent mediocre content they've been putting on Disney Plus has made Star Wars start to feel like a niche franchise when it should be Disney's crown jewel.
Yeah, but you're not saying anything that everybody hasn't been saying for the last couple of years. But again, I also think it's important that when we complain about a lot of stuff that Star Wars has done and is right now, that we not lose sight of the fact and acknowledge that there have been some significant wins.
Yeah.
Andor is fucking amazing. The first couple of seasons, at least, at Mandalorian were really good. Rogue One was fantastic. I loved Rebels. I mean, so in all the complaining, and there's a lot to complain about, and I have complained about a lot of it, and I go on rants sometimes about it. I also think it's important that when we do that, we also acknowledge that they've knocked it out of the park a couple of times, but they are nowhere near where they need to be right now. And I've already given my explanation about what I think they need to do to change that. All right, what's next?
Risky Pin says, hey, John and crew, what will happen if Craven bombs at the box office? Does this mean no more Sony Spider-Man spin-offs, at least for a while?
Nope. Even if, listen.
They still have...
everything. They still have everything. They got Spider-Man.
Yeah, but
Spider-Man Noir is not going to be in the Sonyverse. That's going on to Amazon. But
you're right. Yeah.
The important thing to keep in mind when it comes to, like, say, for instance, the recent stuff, particularly Madam Web and Morbius, which were written by the same clowns. Craven actually has the guy who wrote the Equalizer movies, who wrote it, and it's got a pretty decent director. Like the guy who directed Margin Call is directing it. That gives me a lot more hope for this movie than, say, it's not in the same category as Madam Web and Morbius. They got clowns right from the beginning to put those movies together. There was no reason to have any hope in them, even though I did at the time. But I have some hope for Craven. Not a ton of it, but I do have, because the people making it are just higher caliber people than the people who made the other ones. But if it's horrible, and if it tanks, it doesn't matter. Sony, in order to maintain its control of the Spider-Man IP, has to put out Spider-Man related content every X number of years. Sony has no plans on relinquishing the Spider-Man IP, so they're going to keep cranking out stuff even if it is bad, even if it loses them money. They don't care because they're not giving up the Spider-Man IP.
Yep.
So if Craven sucks and flops hard, won't matter.
Yeah, you'll probably still get
Won't matter one bit.
Black Cat movie or something like that.
Yeah.
Down the line. Joe Howland says, "Hey, John and crew, hope your day is going well. My question is, do you think all the buzz about James Gunn showed his Superman movie in LA and says he has the trailer all ready to go on his computer? Do you think we will see a trailer sooner than later?"
It all depends on your definition of sooner than later. If you mean sooner than the Super Bowl, yeah. I personally still think Super Bowl is when they should launch the Superman trailer. Because when does Superman come out? July?
July.
Right?
Right.
So
July
Super Bowl,
2025.
Super Bowl's February, March, April, May, June, July. 5 months out from the movie. Perfect. That's the perfect event to launch a trailer at and the perfect timing. So let's say Super Bowl is the dividing line between sooner or later. I think there's a good chance that he drops the first one because it is the beginning of a brand new cinematic universe. He's probably pretty excited because remember, at this point, James Gunn, who is the head of the studio, has been working on Superman for a long time. He's probably really excited to let people get a glimpse of it. I still think he should keep it in his pants, wait until Super Bowl, drop it at Super Bowl. That's the perfect time. But if he's already talking about how he's got a trailer ready to go, it'll probably be sooner. Maybe not before Christmas, but I think he needs to wait till Super Bowl, but he'll probably release it before that. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Okay. Culture War Diplomacy says, do you think Dune Prophecy will be a hit like Game of Thrones? I hate the phrase next Game of Thrones, since that often leads to knockoffs of the current whatever.
Remember, Game of Thrones is more of a knockoff of Dune's mythology than the other way around. Just don't lose sight of that. But, I mean, come on. Like, what are we doing? Game of Thrones is the biggest hit ever in the history of television. It's won more Emmys than any other show in television. No other show in history has ever had a bigger pop cultural footprint than Game of Thrones. So let's not do that thing where we go, is this the next biggest thing ever made, ever? Let's not do that. I don't care if Dune is the next game. All I care about is Dune good. Mm-hmm. The first episode's pretty solid. I like the first episode. I don't think the show's for everybody. It's not going to have the same appeal as Game of Thrones does. It's a little bit more niche than that. I certainly liked it, and that's all I care about. So will it be as big as Game? No show coming out is going to be as big as Game of Thrones. Nothing is coming out in the next 5 years that's going to be as big as Game of Thrones. Let's just put that to bed. But can it be good? Can it make an impact? Episode 1 is promised, but we'll see where they go after that. All right, guys. With that down, that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here, making our little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in questions. Number 1, because you gave us fun things to talk about. But number 2, you supported our channel as you did it, and all of us involved with the show. Thank you guys so very much for your support. I'm now going to go out, have a quick bite to eat, and then head out to the movie theater to go see Gladiator 2. Then I'll do my out-of-theater reaction to that a little bit later. I want to thank the people in the room with me, Ray Ora.
Hey, see you guys tomorrow.
Jonathan Voico.
See you guys.
My name's John Campea, and until tomorrow, my friends, bye-bye.